Hi, this is Kylie Coo. Welcome to my studio. So in this video I'm going to try and do a bit of an experiment, but what I'm trying to do is an effect that looks a bit like cyanotype. So cyanotype is the process that led to what were known as blueprints, not used these days because of different printing and copying methods, but if you think of old plans that were in blue and white, then that's what I'm going to try and do using some nature stamps. But I'm also going to try and do a negative type effect as well. So I'm starting today by using indigo to give me the blue. Now you could use any sort of blue for this. I'm just going to use this indigo acrylic, and what I've done is taken two of the pre-cut cards that I've made. These are 5 inches by 3 inches and I've rounded the corners on them, and I'm just going to put one coat of this onto the card. Now I'm going to try get the card fully covered. I'm going horizontally, vertically, just to try and make sure that there's no white spots left. But what I'll then do is just try and drag the brush down the way so that I'm getting the paint going in one way, although that doesn't really matter. It's just the way that I was doing it today. So I really like this colour of indigo. It's one of my favourites, although I haven't used it much recently, but I thought it would make a really good base, or really the main coat I suppose, other than the white, for the cyanotype. So I'm going to cover 2 cards in that same way. Always slightly annoying that the card moves when I'm trying to do it and then I end up getting a little bit of a fingerprint on it and then have to paint over that again. So I'm also going to do that with raw umber on 2 cards, because these are the ones that I want to look more like a kind of negative effect. And I'll just cover these completely as well, and I've laid all of them off to the side just to dry. And what I'm going to do meantime is I'm going to use my little gel plate. I'm going to do a bit of monoprinting. Now this is 3 by 5, which is basically the reason that I decided to cut my cards that size. I just thought it would make it a bit easier. Now I'd given my gel plate a bit of a clean, but my brayer is still got a lot of build-up paint on it, so there's little marks, so I know that I'm going to get a bit of a textured look to it, but that's okay, I like that. So I'm really just trying today to show a couple of different ways to make these. One was just the straightforward paint onto the paper, and this time it's doing it with the gel plate. So I'm taking these 2 lots of stamps. One's just a wildflower stamp and the other one is I'm going to take butterflies from this particular set, and I'm just going to put some of the indigo down onto the gel plate. Now my acrylic block there is rather messy on one side because I'd been previously using that as a palette and hadn't properly cleaned it off. So I'm going to put on a little of the indigo, not too much. I want a fairly thin layer here, and I'm just going to roll that out. Only needs a little, and I'm going to roll that out as much as possible to get an even coat. When I print, there's still little bits of old paint on my gel plate. That will create a textured effect, as will the bits of paint sticking to my brayer, but that's okay. So now placing this down onto the gel plate, and what I'm basically trying to do is to get an imprint of the wildflower stamp, and this is going to give me a kind of negative effect. So I'm just going to take one of my cards now, and I'm going to carefully place that on. Now I had rocked the stamp a little bit too much, and part of the base of the stamp was touching, but you know, if like me you like a kind of grungy look, then this turns out perfect. If you like something that's a bit more refined in terms of the print, let's say, then you just need to be a little bit more careful. So I'm going to peel that up, and you can see there that I've got that negative effect. And you'll see the bit near the top where the stamps touched it. To me that just looks like a moon, so I'm quite happy with that. And what I'll do now is I will change these out for the butterflies. Just since I've got indigo out already, I'm just going to do the second card, this time with the butterflies. I want to use 3, and I'm just going to arrange them in a kind of pattern, just so that they'll fit on my little gel plate there. Again, just going to use a bit of indigo. And again, I'll just roller that out. Trying to get a nice even coat. And again, I'll just press that in. I'm rocking it back and forward a bit. I think I did it a little bit too much because then the acrylic block touched the edge of the gel plate there. Of course, the fact that the block was slightly bigger, it just moved down. So I was just filling in that little gap there with the brayer. And again, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Place my card on carefully. Just getting another bit of paper on top. And I will just gently rub that so that it picks up both the paint and the impression of the butterfly stamps. So cyanotype can be created in other ways. The main way is through a chemical process. You can buy the chemicals to do it, but to me that's a bit messy. I'm now going to do the same with the raw umber. And you can also buy special paper to do a cyanotype process. And what it really requires is the laying down of, for example, flowers, leaves, whatever material you want to use. You then have to put a glass or a perspex type top on it. You need to do that somewhere dark because the paper starts to react to ultraviolet light. So it is something you would then have to activate under an ultraviolet light or in kind of bright sunshine. But the effects can be quite stunning. As I say, I don't have the chemicals or the paper, and I don't think I'll be buying them at any point, but I wanted to see if I could do my own kind of version of it. So again, the exact same process here, just with the raw umber this time. And that one has actually picked up some of the indigo that was still underneath. Again, I like that sort of effect because I like kind of grunge looking. If you wanted something more pristine, then it would be a case of fully cleaning off the plate in between and cleaning off the brayer and cleaning off the stamps. So now going to swap these out for the tall wildflower. Just making sure it's in place and then laying it down onto the gel plate. And then I'll take another card to lift that impression. So at the end of the day, these cards, they could be placed on a bigger piece of card or on a greetings card of some description. They'd make a nice kind of frontispiece for that. They could be used as journaling cards. A hole could be punched in them and they could be made into tags. So lots of different uses. Just showing you there where I've pressed a little bit too hard and just got a little bit of the kind of bottom layer of the stamp. So you could use white paint for this next bit of the process. I tried that earlier. It didn't quite get the effect that I wanted, I think because some of the markings on the stamps are just a little bit too detailed. But what I'm going to do now is to use a white ink. Now I did wash all my stamps in between time. If you use your stamps on acrylic paint, then you do need to make sure, as far as possible, I don't always do it, but should really wash it all off, because if it dries on, you're going to lose the effect of the stamp. So I've washed them in between, not least because I'm now going to use it with this white ink pad. And all I'm going to do is use the same lots of stamps. I'm going to use that white ink, and at this time I'm just going to stamp an impression. Now I'm going to try and be careful this time to stamp quite lightly. I'm not going to press quite as firmly on the edges, because as far as possible I do want a more kind of clear print this time. I think I was able to get away with it on the gel plate because it, that in itself looked a little bit grungy anyway, but this time I wanted a more clear and sharp print. So again, going to do that on the brown as well. Now what I like about the umber coloured ones is I was trying to get a negative effect. I might have had to put on a couple of layers of paint. What it's given me actually is something that looks a little bit akin to a kind of wood grain effect, and I quite like it. I can see that going well in some of my journals. And I'm going to do the same again, just wiping the ink off, and I'll do the same again now with the wildflower stamp. Being careful with that ink because it does take just a little bit longer to dry than some inks. And the last thing I want to do is to smudge it at this stage. Now I've left this in because I just wanted to show you there that when I put the ink down, it actually did go down onto the kind of base of the stamp. So I was just wiping that away with my finger because I can see exactly where I'm picking up the kind of blobs from on the other ones. There's two kind of high points almost, and I really don't want that going on to these ones. So just getting it into place, and this time I'm going to press more just in the centre and try not to rock it. So it's just a light press this time, and I got a much crisper stamped image than before. And then doing the same on the brown. Just inking up gently, trying not to put any excess on. Getting it off those high points. And then just gently pressing it down. So earlier, before I started to film, I was trying this with a variety of different techniques. I did try it with watercolour, but I couldn't quite get the effect that I was looking for. What I tried was just to put the watercolour down and then to lift it with the stamp. Just showing you there a leaf. You could try it with a leaf if you wanted. I tried it again, didn't quite get the effect I was looking for, so I might do a bit more experimenting. What I'm going to do now is to take a white Posca pen, and I want to create some marks on my cards, just some kind of straight lines and dots, again just trying to get a bit of that kind of blueprint type look to it. But you could basically put any design on here at all. You could go round the butterflies more, or dots, whatever. These are just my practice ones earlier. I tried some where I was just drawing it on. That was the watercolour. It had a nice enough effect. I'll use the card for something, probably put some more layers over the top. I was really just trying to see if there was a way where it didn't matter what kind of supplies you have, you'd be able to use it. But the acrylic paint was definitely working best for me today. So just going to do a series of lines and dots, just thinking about blueprints, and when you see architectural blueprints, how a lot of what you see are kind of lines. Not trying to do anything too fancy. You could draw other things in the background, you could draw flowers, you could put whatever. Taking my time because I don't want to smudge the Posca, and I know that the ink of the stamps is still a little bit wet as well, so just trying to be very careful that I don't touch any of that, because more often than not at this stage that's when I manage to smudge things. Few dots here and there where the antennae would be, and then just a few other dots round about. And I'm quite pleased with the way that that one has turned out. Then I'll do it also on the raw umber one. And I'm really quite liking that card, liking the background. A slight negative effect. Wasn't quite what I was going for, but that's okay. I will experiment more. Just doing a few lines here around the butterfly. Not anything in particular. And this is where you could just doodle away to your heart's content. And I go round most of the cards doing something else. Now I do have a video on doing borders for journal pages and journaling cards, and I'll link that above and below. Just shows you a variety of different kind of marks that you can do just to do cards. So I went round most of the cards, not them all, and I also thought, well, it'd be quite good just to write on some as well. I just put wildflower on one, and I'm just going to write butterfly on this one. And so those are my faux cyanotype and negative type cards. Just taking a quick look at them there. I'm quite happy with the way that they turned out. I hope this is a project you will like and give a try to. I think you could do these in any colours at all, you know, so they'd be nice with a green background. It's really just about trying to get that kind of negative effect with the stamped images. So if you are not a member of the Mixed Media Emporium that I co-host with Nina Ribena, and if you'd like to join, then there is a link to the group in the description box below. And of course Nina will also have a video this week, and I will also leave a link to that if you'd like to check that out at the end of this video. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.